As we begin to start the new year, what are you reflecting on? This is Tracy with Tracy Talks, a podcast about life, looking at life from a new perspective to gain wisdom and understanding in hopes to know yourself more. This time of year is such an introspective moment for me. And I think we all naturally use the end of a year to reflect on what happened in the previous year. Did we do what we wanted to do? Did the things happen in the way we thought they would? I'm not a person who believes in resolutions. I feel like it is good to reevaluate and reflect on how I spend my time, what I prioritize, and how I direct my attention. And I feel like I do that a lot anyway. So setting intentions isn't really something that I focus on for the new year. I do like how the new year feels like a clean slate. Sometimes life doesn't unfold like we want it to, like we think it should. And the new year is this ending and beginning. Sometimes it's easier to compartmentalize periods in our life and how December can be this clean slate of, okay, I get a new year. We get to start over with a clean slate, and that feels good. That feels empowering. If you're someone who needs that to get you motivated, to get you fired up for making changes, embrace that. Embrace that power in, here we go. Let's start off the new year on the right foot. And how can I make this year the best year for me? If you are someone who is waiting for a sign or a signal, can't this be that moment? Can't this be the time where you sit down with your thoughts and your dreams and create steps and actions that you can take in whatever area of your life that you want? Is this the time where you can say, you know what? I didn't do so well this last year in this area of my life, so this year I'm going to focus on that. I want to focus on making these changes. Sometimes the most impactful changes that we make are small steps in our day. They aren't these big, grandiose gestures. It is simply making small little changes that help you pivot, that help you build a foundation that you can grow upon. It's interesting when you gain some age and wisdom in your life, like I have, and so you have more years to reflect on. So you have more situations and circumstances and events that you have in your toolbox to use as motivation. I remember when we were getting ready to turn over into the year 2020. I am someone who likes to write, and I was writing about the symbolism of 2020, how we use 2020 during an eye exam. And that's the point where we have this perfect vision and clarity, and we have the clarity that we need to see. And this was before the world shut down. And I remember at the end of 2020, reflecting on what I was writing about in the week before New Year's Eve. In December of 2020, we were still in this ambiguous time. Things weren't clear. Things didn't seem like we were on a solid foundation, that we were just kind of in this fog and just trying to figure out life on an individual, on a collective. I mean, it was on small scale, and it was also on large scale, of where there was just this weird unknown time. And I remember at the end of the year thinking, wow, I was coming into this year thinking I was going to gain enormous amounts of clarity. I was going to have this epiphany, which is what I kind of expect a lot of times anyway, is I'm going to have this deep knowing that's going to just transcend from the heavens and come down into my body. And I'm going to just be like, oh, I get it. I understand. I know the path. I know where I am, where I'm going. And I kind of chuckled because that didn't happen. That didn't happen in December of 2020. But when I reflect now, it's December of 2024, I have 4 more years of understanding, 4 more years of experiences and information. And even though I didn't have the full clarity in December of 2020, 4 more years now has brought me enormous amounts of clarity, enormous amounts of understanding of who I am and what matters to me. And I think we put a lot of pressure on ourselves to have these moments where we just want to know, what does this mean? Where am I going? Why can't I just know? Why do I have to be in this unknown period? But this is like a playground. And so there isn't just one right answer. There isn't just one path. And being in this period of unknown really allows you to figure out, where do you want to go? You don't have just one choice to make. You have multiple choices that you can make. You have multiple paths that you can take. But being in a space of unknown really does allow you the time and the freedom to choose. You get to choose. There isn't a wrong path. Sometimes we want to think that there is. We want to think that something we chose in the past that was really hard to walk through was the wrong path. But I don't believe that. I believe that those experiences teach us a valuable lesson that we needed to learn, and you have the choice of whether you want to learn the lesson. You have the choice if you want to experience those experiences again, because you can choose it over. You can do that, and some people do. I look at this time and not just reflect on the past year. I reflect on the past few years, the past decade. When I look at the past decade from 2014 to 2024, that is an amazing transformation for me. Those 10 years were significant in my personal development, the person who I have become now. And my point is to say that we put so much time on the past year, but we're just in this evolution. And sometimes we don't always see those significant changes in the moment, that it takes distance, it takes more time to separate from the moments to actually understand how impactful and how important they were for our development and our learning. I hope that you reflect on this past year and give yourself some grace if you don't have any moments that you feel like stand out. it may not be time for you to understand this part of the journey. And if there is something that is of value, then maybe it'll show up in 3 or 5 years down the path, and you'll be like, man, 2024, I did this, and I didn't know how it was going to change my life, but it did. I know I'm going to spend this week reflecting on what I have completed this year. And I'm going to spend some time this week contemplating where I want to go next year, where I hope that I can put my energy, my attention, and focus into other areas. Here's to 2025 being a great year for all of us. Thank you for listening to this podcast of Tracy Talks. Please like and share with others who would enjoy listening to this podcast. And until next time, we meet again.